A young woman woke up to find a handsome stranger with six-pack abs lying beside her. She instantly snapped to attention, mistaking the man for a villain and scrambling to escape the room. The man, however, grabbed her and held her close, peppering her with a string of playful idioms. She struggled mightily, and once she was free, she warned the man to behave, oblivious to the fact that everything that had occurred today was a result of a lie she told yesterday. The girl's name was Jiang Min, a small-time intern who was constantly mocked by her colleagues. But in order to stay at the company, she endured it all. Today, a cunning colleague had invited her to her birthday party. Initially, Jiang Min had wanted to decline, but couldn't stand the colleague's mocking remarks, so she reluctantly agreed. The cunning colleague emphasized that the party had a sleepover theme and instructed Jiang Min to dress up. Unexpectedly, on her way to the party in her pajamas, Jiang Min found herself in a scene straight out of a classic Stephen Chow movie. "Girl, I see your bones are quite peculiar. We're destined." A tattered beggar stopped her and declared that her bracelet was magical. Every lie he speaks would become truth. "I don't lie normally. What would I need this for?" "This is fate. This is retribution," Jiang Min. While she didn't want to be tricked, for some reason she bought the bracelet from him. After giving it a quick glance, she realized the beggar had vanished in the blink of an eye. Unwilling to dwell on it, Jiang Min went to the bar as planned. Seeing everyone in fancy attire, she felt awkward and considered sneaking out, but the cunning colleague spotted her and excitedly approached, grabbing her hand. She used her condescending attitude to criticize Jiang Min. "You really are so ugly and outdated." Then she continued in her usual contemptuous manner, announcing some good news. "Today, Manager Sun sent out an internal email announcing I officially passed the company exam and was promoted to designer. My dear Jiang Min, maybe in 35 more years you can get promoted too." After her sarcastic words, she continued to humiliate Jiang Min, saying that because she had no suitable job, she should just marry an old man. Jiang Min was indignant and declared that she had a boyfriend. The cunning colleague laughed loudly. "You have a boyfriend? Your boyfriend's name is Chu Man, 188 cm tall, with impressive six-pack abs, intelligent and handsome. In short, perfect." As everyone mocked her, they didn't know that the novel in her bag emitted a ray of light. At the same time, a handsome man walked towards the private room from outside. Jiang Min didn't want to be involved with these people, so she lied and said she was going to the bathroom and would be back. As she reached for her bag to leave, the cunning colleague pulled her back and continued to mock her. "Isn't your boyfriend someone who looks like a moonbeam on a collarbone?" Knowing that the cunning colleague had been rummaging through her bag, Jiang Min was furious and reached for the novel. At that moment, a handsome man forcefully pushed open the door and entered. Seeing this, Jiang Min was stunned by the man's bravado and froze in place. "Let her go or you'll pay dearly." "Who are you?" "My name is Chu Man, and I'm Jiang Min's boyfriend. Can I leave now?" "Give me back my book. Be careful, you'll get scammed." "You're such a foolish girl. You must get abused by men to have such a nasty mouth. Your clothes are awful. Have fun tonight. I'll pay for everything." After he finished speaking, he pulled Jiang Min out of the room. Jiang Min dreamily scolded. "You shouldn't have said you'd pay, because I don't have that much money." Chu Man stopped abruptly and said firmly, "I, Chu Man, don't care about that. Don't test my limits here. If you keep acting like you're drunk, I don't mind kissing you awake." As soon as Chu Man finished speaking, Jiang Min unexpectedly lunged at him. What Jiang Min didn't expect was that a single kiss would excite the love god, beloved by all, to the point of fainting on the spot. Even more surprising was that, when Jiang Min woke up the next day, she found herself, inexplicably, in Chu Man's bed. At this moment, Jiang Min finally realized the beggar's words. It turned out that lies really could become reality. The next day, Jiang Min's company needed to send a representative to a design competition. Unexpectedly, Zhao Lin, the cunning woman, took Jiang Min's drawings and claimed that they were her own creation. Jiang Min, seeing Zhao Lin plagiarizing her work in broad daylight, was immediately enraged. She publicly criticized Zhao Lin. "Everyone look. This is my first draft. It was rejected last week. Why is yours exactly the same as mine? What's going on between you and Zhao Lin? You borrowed my design to offer it to him, so he could copy it and get promoted and take the credit? You're outrageous." These words made Zhao Lin furious. She grabbed Jiang Min's collar and demanded an apology, even threatening to beat her up. But as she raised her foot, a strong hand grabbed her ankle. It turned out to be Chu Man, her domineering boyfriend. After coldly throwing away Zhao Lin's hand, he approached Jiang Min and comforted her. However, Zhao Lin and the clueless manager threatened to kick him out. But the more arrogant they became, the more they were retaliated against. You two are automatically fired from today. Who are you? You're firing us. Yes, she's the one who should be fired. Yes, she's the one who should be fired. Before either of them could finish, the former chairman stepped forward and officially declared, "Our Yihui company is on the brink of bankruptcy and facing a crisis. It's thanks to the Su Corporation's financial intervention that we're still afloat. Therefore, President Su will be our new CEO." Hearing this, the manager's face went pale. He immediately took the opportunity to sneak out, but Chu Man had seen through his plan. He quickly dragged him back in front of Jiang Min. Seeing this, the manager immediately bowed and apologized to Jiang Min. Jiang Min didn't hold back and slapped him hard. It turned out that this manager had been harassing her, so this slap was to get justice for herself. Then she said that she didn't want to see them again. After everyone left, Chu Man immediately declared that Jiang Min was officially promoted to assistant designer. As Jiang Min stared at him in surprise, Chu Man said that from now on, she would only work 3 hours a day, and then she had to go home and stay by his side. Hearing this, Jiang Min couldn't contain herself. But because she had long dreamed of becoming a designer, she made a deal with Chu Man. "If I can get the Employee of the Month award in a month, you can't interfere with me anymore. Deal. If you can't do it, you'll obediently come home and be my wife. How's that, agree?" Chu Man wanted to win Jiang Min's heart quickly. He immediately went to his assistant and asked him to organize a party that evening so that Jiang Min could experience the feeling of being pampered by others. Night fell quickly. Chu Man blindfolded Jiang Min and took her to the party location. When Jiang Min saw everything before her, she was incredibly happy. Immediately afterward, Chu Man did a sweet thing. He kissed her on the forehead. At that moment, Jiang Min was very touched, because she had never imagined that she would have a day when someone would spoil her like this. Just as Chu Man was publicly declaring that Jiang Min was his girlfriend, unexpectedly, her former awful boyfriend suddenly appeared in front of them. As the awful man tried to approach Jiang Min, she was embraced by Chu Man. "I'm Jiang Min's boyfriend." "Chu Man, when did you two start dating?" "Recently." "It's none of your business." Then, Chu Man ignored the awful man's gaze and left quickly. But coincidentally, Zhao Lin, who hated Jiang Min, saw this. She couldn't understand why a poor girl like her had so many outstanding men surrounding her. So, she and a sleazy man came up with a vicious plan to get revenge on Jiang Min. They wanted to expose her and ruin her reputation completely. So while Jiang Min was at the party, Zhao Lin secretly slipped some drugs into her wine. Later, Jiang Min was dazed and confused when the sleazy man took her to a room. Seeing Jiang Min asleep and helpless, the sleazy man felt very pleased and immediately prepared to take some humiliating photos of her. His goal was to completely destroy her life. But what Zhao Lin didn't expect was that as Jiang Min was struggling with all her might, Chu Man burst in forcefully. One punch sent the sleazy man flying to the ground. "You're so bold. How dare you touch my girlfriend? Leave the rest to me." "Yes, President Su." Chu Man didn't even look at the man again. He gently scooped up Jiang Min and left the room. This time, Zhao Lin not only failed to harm Jiang Min, but she lost her job. To keep Jiang Min safe, Chu Man even considered closing the company he had just bought. Now, he only wanted Jiang Min to go home and peacefully become his wife. Is this protection or imprisonment? How can I blame you? You're so unreasonable. We had a bet before. Now you're breaking your promise. You're so arbitrary. I am the reason, Jiang Min. Hearing this, Jiang Min became instantly furious and turned and walked away. Chu Man didn't know what he did wrong. He decided to ask his assistant, "How do you make your girlfriend stay home obediently and listen to you? How to make your wife love you more? You have to make Jiang jealous, for example, by holding another girl's hand, or stop. I'm such a good man, it's natural to have more women who like me. That bad idea is no good." It seems like the assistant lacks experience in this field. Chu Man could only take out his phone and search for answers online. Soon, Chu Man appeared before Jiang Min with a bouquet of flowers and got down on one knee to propose to her. In front of the crowd, just as everyone was cheering for her to marry Chu Man, Jiang Min's phone rang. It turned out to be a voice message from her ex-boyfriend. This enraged Chu Man. He snatched the phone from Jiang Min's hand and said, "I'm ordering you to stop contacting this person. Give me my phone back. I'll buy you a new one tomorrow. This phone, along with the old number, you can forget about it." When she got back home, Jiang Min wanted to retrieve her phone back from Chu Man, but he had already given her a new phone and said he had thrown the old one away. What Chu Man didn't know was that the old phone contained precious photos of Jiang Min and her deceased parents. Knowing that she really couldn't get her phone back, Jiang Min was heartbroken. Tears blurred her vision. She cried and blamed Chu Man for being so heartless, but Chu Man didn't recognize his fault and even mocked Jiang Min's crying face. "You're ugly when you cry." Hearing this, Jiang Min stood up and left Chu Man's house. Then, she went to her best friend to complain. At that moment, her awful ex-boyfriend appeared before them. When Jiang Min saw her ex-boyfriend, memories of their time together flooded back. They had been a loving couple, but since she received a breakup letter, her ex-boyfriend completely disappeared from her life. She didn't expect him to appear again after so many years. But Jiang Min was no longer the naive girl who could be ordered around. She calmly smiled and told her ex-boyfriend that she had a new boyfriend, Chu Man. "He treats me very well. He's never forced me to do anything I don't want to do. Most of the time, he listens to me and puts me first. He's like a well-behaved dog." Unexpectedly, her casual lies caused a bead on her bracelet to turn black. At that moment, Chu Man, after being illuminated by a ray of light, suddenly smiled for the first time in his life. He had always been domineering and cold. He came in front of Jiang Min and immediately returned her old phone to her. He also sincerely and gently apologized to her. Jiang Min was surprised to see the domineering CEO change his usual coldness. Seeing her ex-boyfriend standing in front of her, she accepted his pursuit. But they didn't know that danger was approaching. He directly made his girlfriend, who was still an intern, the head designer. He even thoughtfully prepared a separate office for her. This unexpected happiness made Jiang Min, a recent graduate, at a loss for words. Then, Chu Man, the domineering CEO, announced his job. "My job is to be your personal assistant." Unexpectedly, the domineering CEO wanted to be Jiang Min's personal assistant. From that day on, Jiang Min felt like she was being held in the palm of his hand. Very happy. But Jiang Min understood that the happiness she was experiencing came from a lie that she had told. But as long as that lie became true once, a bead on the bracelet she wore would turn black. Now, Jiang Min feared that her domineering CEO boyfriend would disappear one day. So she suggested taking a few photos with Chu Man under the bright fireworks. This was the perfect moment for couples to express their romantic love. Chu Man deeply expressed his love for Jiang Min and then hugged her tightly. At that moment, they were the happiest people. The next day, they attended a conference together. Unexpectedly, they ran into her awful ex-boyfriend. When he saw Jiang Min, he was about to greet her, but Chu Man grabbed his wrist. Then Chu Man hugged Jiang Min and asserted his dominance. "She's my girlfriend." Nowadays, young people are so cool. It's much better than you, a sleazy middle-aged man. "Jiang Min, let's go home." Just as they were about to leave, Jiang Min happened to run into her high school teacher. The teacher suggested going out for a drink, and Jiang Min couldn't refuse, so she agreed. But in her heart, she was still thinking about Chu Man, so she snuck away early. Unexpectedly, when Jiang Min got home, she found Chu Man drunk. "Where did you go? Don't you need me anymore? Don't abandon me, okay? Just like I abandoned those old suits, I wouldn't abandon you. Look, I secretly came back halfway through dinner just to be with you. Go and see the surprise gift I prepared for you." When Chu Man saw the gift Jiang Min had prepared for him, he couldn't hold back his tears. Even though he was a domineering CEO, Chu Man could still feel the warmth of someone caring for him. Jiang Min's appearance had warmed his cold heart after all these years. At this moment, Chu Man not only gradually understood human emotions, but he also understood how Jiang Min felt when she cried. Before, Jiang Min now had her own job and had even become the company's designer. Naturally, her workload increased. Facing her boyfriend, who was like a puppy and was increasingly clingy, just a few words with another man would cause him to get jealous. So, after a busy day at work, Jiang Min also had to make Chu Man happy. This gradually made her feel tired of her current life. But just at that moment, her awful ex-boyfriend decided to interfere. He led a team from his rival company to Chu Man's company, claiming to want to partner on a project. Chu Man immediately realized her ex-boyfriend had no good intentions and rejected the partnership on the spot. However, Jiang Min felt that such a large project couldn't be completed by their company alone, so they needed to partner with them. Very quickly, the two of them designed a product to participate in the exhibition. But unexpectedly, this was a plot by the cunning woman and her awful ex-boyfriend. While the puppy CEO took his girlfriend to the jewelry exhibition, the person who greeted them was actually Jiang Min's ex-boyfriend. Jiang Min, help me with my bag. I'll help you. I can do it myself. For a long time, the puppy had realized that her ex-boyfriend was a bad guy. But when the two of them looked at each other, there was a hint of contempt in the bad guy's eyes for the puppy CEO. He didn't know that the person he was despising was actually the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. A single word from Chu Man could easily cause the bad guy to lose his job. When everyone walked into the exhibition hall, they suddenly realized that the receptionist on the other side was very familiar. It turned out to be the woman who had bullied Jiang Min at the company a few days ago. Because Chu Man had been a little soft-hearted at the time, he hadn't eliminated the woman from the industry. He didn't expect that just a few days later, she had jumped ship to the rival company. Thinking that she now had someone to rely on, she became arrogant and wanted to attack Jiang Min. The second step of the mistress is to slap someone in the face. I demand you apologize to this girl. Even though her awful ex-boyfriend was also at the rival company, he didn't seem to help. Actually, it was all a pretense. Not long after, the bad guy and the woman were secretly interacting in a corner. After they were done, they started discussing how to win Jiang Min's heart so they could have the opportunity to sabotage Chu Man's company. They didn't know that Chu Man had seen through their plan. He was furious for a moment, then he threw Jiang Min's exhibition piece. But his action made Jiang Min think that he was childish. She could only describe it as inexplicable. After Jiang Min's furious scolding, she turned and left the exhibition hall. Seeing this, her awful ex-boyfriend pretended to be concerned and started to console her. Are you all right? I'm fine. I'm sorry, senior. Taking advantage of this, he tricked Jiang Min into going to a bar. He had no idea that he just wanted to get Jiang Min drunk to pry information about Chu Man out of her. Sure enough, after a few drinks, Jiang Min couldn't hide anything and revealed the secret of the bracelet. You don't believe me? I'll show you. You gave me a blue stuffed animal. If I remember correctly, it was white. But look, after I lied to you, it turned blue. With the evidence before him, the bad guy believed Jiang Min. Not only that, Jiang Min, using the courage of alcohol, frankly admitted that her current CEO boyfriend also appeared after she lied. Hearing this, the bad guy thought of using the magical function of Jiang Min's bracelet to manipulate him. He said another lie. Have you ever thought about making him change? If Chu Man becomes like this, it's a case of spoiling a spoiled boyfriend. He's both mature and attractive. Do you want a boyfriend like that? I think my boyfriend is the spoiled type. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Min's bracelet emitted a faint ray of light and directly struck the CEO's forehead. Immediately, the puppy CEO instantly transformed into a domineering one. This domineering aura carried a frightening aura. In the next second, he stormed into the bar. As expected, the bad guy was about to meet his doom. If I see you approach her again, you'll be dead. The bad guy was warned, but didn't dare to argue or resist. Unexpectedly, this was the plot that he and the scheming woman had discussed. They wanted to take over Chu Man's company. The bad guy used the identity of her ex-boyfriend to approach Jiang Min. He wanted to use her to keep Chu Man occupied, so he couldn't focus on his business. The next day, Jiang Min woke up with a headache. She didn't know what happened the night before. She still naively thought that her ex-boyfriend was a good person. When Chu Man heard this, he was immediately furious and ordered his subordinates to investigate Jiang Shu. He was determined to expose the bad things he had done. Very quickly, Chu Man had enough evidence, and he publicly asked Jiang Shu and the scheming woman what their relationship was. Jiang Shu, in a panic, claimed that they didn't know each other. Chu Man just sneered, Jiang Min, you're too kind. Today, I'll let you see the true face of Jiang Shu, this fake gentleman. He had his assistant play the video of the two of them intimately interacting. After this incident, Jiang Min saw that her ex-boyfriend was really a bad person and a complete jerk. Therefore, Jiang Min and Chu Man's relationship took a step forward. But while the two of them were enjoying the sweetness of love, the scheming woman started to cause trouble at the company. She even lured away many designers and employees. Jiang Min found out and was panicked. She told Chu Man, but he was very calm and said that it didn't matter if that small company closed down. Jiang Min didn't expect that the company she was willing to sacrifice everything for could so easily be closed down in Chu Man's eyes. Chu Man even mocked Jiang Min, telling her to give up her ridiculous design dream. Hearing this, Jiang Min was furious. She didn't want to be tied to Chu Man anymore. She turned and went back to her room. When she called her best friend to vent, before she could speak a few words, Chu Man suddenly rushed in and grabbed her phone. Thinking that Jiang Min was planning to leave him, Chu Man was enraged and strangled her, fiercely asking, "I love you so much. How could you say I'm scary?" At this moment, Jiang Min couldn't believe that her boyfriend Chu Man, who loved her with all his heart, could treat her like this. However, the next scene made Jiang Min completely collapse. Jiang Min and Chu Man now seemed possessed. He held a fruit knife and walked towards her, declaring he wanted to die with her. Could the love he had for her be fake? At that moment, Jiang Min suddenly recalled Chu Man's actions a few days ago. He had cruelly ripped off the petals of a beautiful lily bouquet, just to satisfy his desire for a good photo. Since then, Chu Man seemed to have become a different person. He destroyed Jiang Min's dream of becoming a designer, even burning her design drafts while she was asleep. Jiang Min just said that she wanted to go to work, but Chu Man cruelly locked her in the room. He yelled at her, "My golden bird died by my side. Don't think about going anywhere else. Don't tell me you're still clinging to your ridiculous design dream. Why is my dream ridiculous? Is it not ridiculous to be your golden bird?" Of course, because the hard drive containing all your designs was burned to ashes. By me, there's nothing left. Now Jiang Min realized that all her years of hard work were destroyed by Chu Man just because of a single sentence. She was heartbroken and desperate, only able to sit on the bed and cry. After calming down, Jiang Min suddenly thought that maybe it was because a few days ago, she had told a lie. "I want my boyfriend to be a spoiled man. I like spoiled boyfriends." This sentence was the sole reason why Chu Man had suddenly become who he is today. But now, even though she knew the reason, it seemed too late. As Chu Man was about to storm toward her, Jiang Min decided to gamble. She could only lie again to see if Chu Man's personality could change. But just as she was about to speak, Chu Man suddenly sped up and stopped her. "You want to replace me. You don't need me anymore. I won't allow it." Under intense stimulation, Chu Man became even more frenzied and reached for the knife to stab Jiang Min's navel. Just as he was about to lose control, Jiang Min, mustering all her courage, told another lie. "My boyfriend is a warm guy, he would never hurt me." Sure enough, Chu Man, who looked like a vicious demon, suddenly fainted. When he woke up, he was tightly bound. Unexpectedly, Chu Man had become a warm man. But unfortunately, he had forgotten Jiang Min. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Don't you recognize me? Chu Man, do you know who I am? Even if I turn into a ghost, I'll still recognize you. Untie me." The viciousness on his face seemed to have disappeared. What else? Maybe he's pretending. That's reasonable. Jiang Min worried that he was pretending and didn't dare to untie him. In the end, she could only find her best friend to find a way to decipher it. "Chu Man has forgotten you. How do you complete the task?" "I don't know either. Have you ever considered why you can't love Chu Man?" I feel like romantic novels and real life are completely different. Not only did Chu Man lose his memory of Jiang Min, but he also didn't admit that he could love her. Now, Chu Man is the ideal image of Jiang Min. He's not only responsible for the company, but also kind and considerate to the employees. Unexpectedly, this time, CEO Lin, who was facing them, stood up without hesitation and introduced himself. He was also preparing to take over Chu Man's company. Jiang Min, standing beside him, was the first to object. Zhao Lin, the person behind President Li. When she spoke, she began to retort. When CEO Lin heard her assistant speak, she immediately yelled at him to shut up. Chu Man then started talking about a partnership between the two companies. The two of them even happily shook hands. Seeing them shake hands, Jiang Min felt unhappy. When CEO Lin examined everything about Chu Man's company and felt very satisfied, they drank to celebrate the partnership. She proactively took out 2 tickets to a concert and prepared to invite the person in front of her to go. After returning home, Chu Man was still hesitant about whether or not to go to the concert. Although the person beside him mentioned the events that had happened between him and Jiang Min, He didn't remember anything. He was still considering the concert when they had dinner that evening. He told the person beside him that he planned to forget the past. The person next to him agreed. Before leaving, she looked at the bracelet in her hand and remembered the events that had happened between them. Then, Jiang Min proactively went to find the man who sold her the bracelet and prepared to ask him for help so that her boyfriend could change his mind and recognize her again. But unexpectedly, after hearing what she said, the man was unwilling to help her this time. He even said, "If the bracelet turns black, CEO Chu will also completely disappear from your life." When he returned to the office, Chu Man told his other employees the good news about the partnership with CEO Lin. CEO Lin had even proactively invited him to go for a morning run. The other colleagues saw this scene and began to discuss it excitedly. Just as Jiang Min was about to open the door, she saw CEO Lin outside looking for someone. She proactively made way for them and said she would move out. While running, CEO Lin was constantly unhappy because of Jiang Min staying at Chu Man's house. The person beside her quickly agreed and prepared for her to move out soon. After running, the three of them went out to eat a last meal together. Then, Jiang Min finally couldn't take it anymore and left the table first. Seeing her leave, everyone around started to show concern. Jiang Min, walking alone on the street, couldn't hold back her tears. As soon as she got back to the company, Chu Man announced the good news to all the employees. Everyone applauded happily. Only Jiang Min was left alone, which made him feel uncomfortable. In the evening, Chu Man continued to take a walk outside with CEO Lin. He didn't have the heart to listen to her talk. His mind was always thinking about other things. When the fireworks went off, he suddenly remembered the familiar scene and the warm words he had spoken to Jiang Min, and he slowly walked away alone. After returning, Jiang Min was about to tell her best friend about her plan to give up Chu Man and withdraw from this three-way love relationship. Although her best friend kept advising her to think carefully before acting, she was determined. After returning, Chu Man suddenly realized that he had been a bit too much, and he proactively tried to figure things out with the person beside him. Unexpectedly, at this moment, he suddenly remembered the scene of proposing to Jiang Min, and his mind became immediately confused. The cooperation between the two companies was successful. Chu Man happily ran to the company to tell everyone the good news and prepared to go out for entertainment together. Jiang Min had to follow along, and when she was drunk, Chu Man proactively prepared to take her home. Then, Chu Man hugged Jiang Min to the bed and started to carefully take care of her. Seeing him running back and forth, Zhao Li, who was beside him, joked that he was still attached to her. This time, Chu Man didn't argue back and quickly admitted that he often thought of images with her and would unconsciously approach her. He didn't know if it was love, but he was sure that he didn't love CEO Lin. As soon as the person left, Jiang Min suddenly woke up in bed and learned that Chu Man had taken her home the night before. Her best friend knew that they had the potential to get back together and reminded her to learn how to be more proactive so that Chu Man could integrate into her life. Then, Chu Man also learned from Jiang Min the story behind her love for instant noodles. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone hurriedly prepared to take her out to eat. At the dinner table, Chu Man found the food delicious. He even proactively stood up and wiped her mouth. The two of them were very close. After finishing their meal, while walking on the road, Chu Man was very satisfied with the meal and planned to continue taking her there. While they were walking on the road, preparing to go home, they suddenly saw two thugs harassing a strange woman. Chu Man didn't hesitate to intervene. The thug angrily picked up a piece of glass and prepared to attack. Just as the criminal opposite them was about to act, they were suddenly frightened and ran away. Chu Man wanted to chase after them, but the person beside him quickly pulled him back and took him to get his wound bandaged. After they returned, Zhao Li saw that the CEO's wound was bandaged, and he stood aside to enjoy the fun. Chu Man hurriedly called the person beside him and said that now he could feel a special kind of vitality from Jiang Min. It was contagious to others, but for him, he still couldn't remember the old things they had experienced together. Hearing his subordinate's words, Chu Man suddenly felt touched. After returning, Chu Man picked up familiar items that he used to have with Jiang Min and examined them one by one. Looking at the items in front of him gradually brought back memories of the wonderful times they had shared. On the other side, Jiang Min rested her head on the table and dreamt about Chu Man. Suddenly, she discovered that another bead on her bracelet had turned black. She immediately began to worry. Soon, CEO Lin proactively invited her to meet at a coffee shop, unreservedly praising her talent and planning to send her abroad to study. Hearing CEO Lin's words, Jung Min politely declined. She no longer planned to fight for the position of Mrs. Su with anyone. Chu Man was still holding flowers, waiting for her to appear. After Jung Min returned, her best friend, who knew what had happened to her, blamed her for not being proactive and seizing the opportunity, giving CEO Lin a chance to take advantage of her. This time, she wasn't going to continue fighting for him, and considered everything a joke that God had come up with in his spare time. Hearing that she could be open-minded, her best friend was overjoyed and decided to continue matchmaking. When Jiang Min finally agreed, she opened her phone and suddenly saw a message from him. She quickly ran outside to confront the unfaithful one. After going outside, she met Chu Man and immediately told him that he had to be serious about their relationship. Unexpectedly, he surprisingly told her that he had recovered his memory and planned to start over and continue his relationship with the person he loved. Then, Chu Man learned from others about the bad news that Jiang Min was going on a blind date. He started to feel uncomfortable. On the other hand, Jiang Min proactively went to meet the matchmaker, but unexpectedly met a guy who only knew how to take advantage of people. A while later, Chu Man arrived on the scene and drove the person away, but Jiang Min didn't turn around and left. When Jiang Min and her best friend went out to play, they suddenly saw a message from Chu Man inviting them to something. When she quickly arrived, Chu Man was suddenly preparing to confess his feelings to the person he liked at a party. Hearing that Chu Man was about to confess to the girl he liked, CEO Lin, who was standing beside him, secretly rejoiced in her heart. Unexpectedly, the person in front of her walked over to him and publicly said that the person she liked wasn't her, thanking the person in front of her for her concern and appreciation. After he finished speaking, Chu Man, without any hesitation, walked in front of Jiang Min and expressed his thoughts. The person listening couldn't believe it was true. Then, unexpectedly, she fainted next to him and didn't regain consciousness. After the doctor examined her, they didn't discover any symptoms. Chu Man worriedly stayed by her bedside. He even planned to have his lover stay and continue to take care of her. When Jiang Min woke up, CEO Lin proactively ran to return the ring, explaining that she had deceived others before and was preparing to give up the shell of CEO Chu, no longer seeking trouble for herself. Not long after, Jiang Min's mother specially went to the hospital to visit her daughter and even planned to find a suitable partner for herself. Chu Man, hearing this news, proactively helped the old lady look for a good man. When Jiang Min and her mother were in a room, he proactively asked about her relationship with Chu Man, like sleeping in separate beds. Hearing her mother ask about these things, Jiang Min immediately started to avoid the question, and when the person arrived later, she quickly changed the topic to attract attention. Unable to watch this cover-up any longer, the old lady prepared to continue talking about their relationship, but Jiang Min still didn't take the initiative. Seeing her lover preparing a meal and secretly taking photos, seeing that her daughter was still not acting like herself, she decided to intervene. Unexpectedly, in the evening, Jiang Min's mother proactively went out, leaving private space for the two of them. Before leaving, she turned off the lights. Chu Man was taking a shower and didn't pay attention. Jiang Min, who was afraid of the dark, bumped into him head-on. When she turned on the flashlight to shine, she directly saw his abs and immediately felt embarrassed. After that, the two of them were busy with their own things. Her mother came back and discovered that this plan had failed, but she was still preparing to continue looking for ways. Very quickly, under the matchmaking of Jiang Min's mother, they slept in the same bed. When they woke up, they decided to live like a normal couple for a day. After agreeing to the condition, they lived in the same room together, happily enjoying their private lives as a couple. Like other normal couples, cooking together and watching good movies. Time passed quickly. While the person next to her was reading, Jiang Min secretly took a beautiful picture of her. Seeing this, Chu Man quickly stepped forward to grab her phone to look at it. Then, the two of them took photos together. Seeing this scene, Jiang Min directly suggested that they hug. Chu Man knew this feeling, but he couldn't describe it. However, the person opposite him didn't care about that. She still felt that this moment was very happy. When they were having dinner, Chu Man proactively expressed his gratitude to her. She didn't hesitate to thank him for helping her become more courageous. Even though she was unconscious, she still chose the person in her heart between CEO Lin and him. Because from a young age, Jiang Min had always been the one who was chosen. She had never been chosen in a determined way. After they opened up to each other, they gave each other their trust. A while later, Jiang Min's body suddenly had a problem. When she recovered to almost normal, she prepared to return to work. Unexpectedly, the boyfriend opposite her suddenly seemed like a different person. He stopped her and drunkenly said, "This has nothing to do with your not thinking about tomorrow." Unwilling to give up, she went to the beggar again to ask how to remove the curse. He said she had to say to Chu Man, "I love you." Only then could the curse be lifted. But now he doesn't love me anymore. What can I do? Then the task can't be completed. You have to help me. You have to make him come back to me. I'm just a bracelet seller. Your feelings for him are something that you can't just kill and not bury. Like that, I can't complete the task. Then all the beads will turn black. What will I do then? Girl, I didn't say you would die. After receiving the answer, Jiang Min decided to keep trying, to make Chu Man fall in love with her. They both said together, "I love you." Jiang Min also understood that she couldn't live in a fantasy novel forever. She understood that when the two of them could truly be together, that would mean her task had been completed. And it also meant that Chu Man would disappear, leaving the two girls stranded on the beach. But that was just Jiang Min's dream. She woke up to find herself in a bar, and she didn't see any bracelets. The next day when she went to work, the manager kept harassing her, and her colleague copied her designs. So, she decided to quit. As soon as she got home, she told her best friend that she had just quit. She couldn't stay in that swamp forever. She asked her best friend if she had ever met anyone named Chu Man, or her best friend. When she went to eat at a street stall, she saw an empty chair and remembered CEO Chu. When she got home, she was drawing her design and remembering CEO Chu. After a night of struggling, she finally completed it and submitted the design. While she was eating noodles, she received a text message. "Your work, True Jade Tears, won first prize." She was overjoyed. The next night, at the jewelry competition award ceremony, under the warm applause of everyone, Jiang Min stepped onto the podium to give her acceptance speech. The MC asked her what inspired her to design this piece. "It came from my boyfriend. Before, I used to lie a lot, but I met a CEO who spoils me and cares for me so much. So, I designed True Jade Tears. No matter what happens, I can stay true to myself." As soon as she finished speaking, Chu Man appeared. She ran down to stand in front of him. Chu Man asked, "Do we know each other?" She just smiled and hugged him. This is where the story ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss out on more amazing videos. For now, goodbye, and until next time.